Hello and thanks for staying up with us. I'm Matt Piper in New York, and here are some of the stories on CBS News Roundup. The dueling presidential campaigns are leaning into policy and promises, especially in the battleground states. Ukraine acknowledges for the first time that its troops are now fighting inside Russian territory. And the U.S. is sending more ships to the Middle East amid fears of an Iranian attack against Israel. We begin, though, with the race for president. Vice President Kamala Harris is heading into the week with new support from West Coast donors after a major fundraiser in San Francisco. It was a less active weekend for former President Donald Trump with no public events, but he was active on social media. CBS's Skyler Henry leads us off at the White House.
The Trump advanced.
Turning now to the Middle East, where Israel remains on high alert for a possible strike by Iran or one of its allies. The U.S. is ordering the USS Lincoln aircraft carrier to speed up its journey to the region. Plus, a U.S. Navy guided missile submarine is also on its way to the Middle East. This all comes as Hamas is threatening to drop out of ceasefire negotiations with Israel over the war in Gaza, preferring instead the ceasefire plan that President Biden first unveiled back in May. Over the weekend, an Israeli airstrike at a school complex housing displaced families killed at least 100 people. That was according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. CBS's Deborah Pattis spent time with the head of the UN agency that's providing aid to Palestinian refugees in Gaza. This is CBS News Roundup. I'm Matt Piper in New York. The 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris wrapped up with a spectacular closing ceremony, and the athletes are returning home. But the memory of the games and some of the historic equipment will live on at the Olympic Museum in Switzerland. Dana Jacobson has the story. Well, most visitors to the Paris Olympics made sure to take a stroll down the city's most famous boulevard, the Champs-Élysées. It's a great tourist attraction, but because of the cars and the crowds, locals tend to avoid it at all costs. There's a movement afoot to change that. Our Michelle Miller reports. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed that his forces are now battling for control of Russian territory. During an address to his nation, Zelensky said the surprise cross-border offensive in Russia's Kursk region is an attempt to, quote, push the war out into the aggressor's territory. CBS's Ian Lee has the latest developments. This is CBS News Roundup. I'm Matt Piper in New York. President Biden says he ended his bid for a second term in office because he did not want to create, in his words, a real distraction. In his first interview since dropping out of the race 3 weeks ago, the president said his prime motivation is to defeat Donald Trump. Biden discussed this and more with our Robert Costa. Today's CBS News Roundup. For some of you, the news continues. For others, tune in later for CBS Mornings and follow us online 24/7 at cbsnews.com. Reporting from the CBS Broadcast Center in New York City, I'm Matt Piper.